Thankins. Thankins. I can't believe the amount of love that I got on my grandson Coop's video on the YouTubes. He showed me them comments, and the college football family said a lot of real nice things. A lot of yous did. Now, some of yous need a good spanking, 'cause I saw them comments calling me fat. And I told my grandson, I said, I want the name and I want the address. I'm gonna go get my switch. And yous ain't even got a real profile picture over name. So anyways, my grandson, he said, Memo, don't worry about it. Them people, he said they just type and type and type all day long. So I'm gonna go ahead and get into the story here. And I gotta tell you, this is a scary one. Okay, it's scary, but it's got a real good ending. Now, Jimmy, can you go get your papa? Yeah, tell him to grab my snuff. Yeah, okay. It's called The Great Knee That Never Happened. Now, I know some of you is asking the question. Now, Memo Coop, how can the knee be great if it never happened? Well, if you would just sit down and shut up, I'll tell you, okay? So, here we go. Once upon a time, there was a game that went down in history. A loss so embarrassing, us Canes fans been living in misery. Miami knew they could win, even though they started a bit slow. It surely didn't help that TVD was playing like a little hoe. Oh, I can't say that? Okay, well, just take that part out, okay? Just don't repeat what you just memo says, okay? They fought and they fought. It was a real close game, okay? But when it came time to take a knee, Mario Cristobal said, no way. And then it all fell apart. They say he fumbled the ball. When I saw that on the TV, I nearly shit my drawers. Oh, I can't say that neither? Okay, well, just take that part out, okay? All right, now it's got a picture right here, okay? This guy right here. Yep, Mario Cristobal, that's him. Yep, and he said no knee, okay? So at the end of the day, Georgia Tech, they won the game. And I gotta tell you youngins, I ain't never been the same. But believe it or not, turns out it was fate. Because Mario Cristobal and this Miami Hurricanes team are now great. You see, youngins, sometimes when it seems like something is bad, it probably is, okay? But a lot of times, later down the road, things end up being okay. And I think that us Canes fans, you know, me and you Papaw and all the yuns, you know, gonna get revenge on them Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, okay? All right, okay. Now, just remember, don't say none of them bad words you just memo said, okay? Now, you just go on now, all right? Go on, get. Now, Jimmy, where's my snuff? Get your papa in here. Get him in here.
What's going on, Canes fans? What a great week. Another opportunity to get revenge on a team that got the best of Miami last season. Now, before we dive in, I just have one announcement, and it's really not even an announcement. It's more so just a reminder that $250 is up for grabs this Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. All you have to do is jump into my Miami versus Georgia Tech fan call-in show. You call the number on the screen, predict the correct score for the game, and if you get it right, you win $250. So mark your calendars. This Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Be there. Now, obviously, the big question going into this game is, will quarterback Haynes King be ready to play? He sprained his throwing shoulder several weeks ago, and because of that, he missed the last 2 games. And big surprise here, Georgia Tech lost their last 2 games.
I am shocked. Shocked. Well, not that shocked.
Personally, I would assume that he will play even if he's not a full 100%, but they've been pretty vague when responding to questions about how healthy he really is at the moment. Brent Key has been coming out and saying it's day to day. You know, they don't really know. Is he going to play? Is he not? He's been trying to practice. We know what's going on here. Come on. And the Yellow Jackets know how desperately they need Haynes King back for this one. He's a pretty darn good football player. He's a dual threat, and he's thrown for 8 touchdown passes with only 1 interception. I'm not going to dive too deep into his stats because, of course, he did miss those last 2 games, but he's got a 71.2% completion percentage, which is absolutely insane. And he's rushed in 6 touchdowns so far. I just don't think that Pyron or the freshman that they have can get the job done against this Miami team. So they've got to have King. And their running back, Jamal Haynes, was having a great season, but he was injured during the Virginia Tech game, and his status is currently unknown. And I know it seems like I keep talking about injuries here, but these are big-time key pieces for Georgia Tech, and they're also anxiously awaiting the return of one of their best players on defense, linebacker Kyle Efford. So as you can see, they've been bitten by the injury bug, but they're coming off of a bye week, so that gave them an extra week to prepare for Miami and also an extra week to heal up. And boy, let me tell you, Georgia Tech has a very experienced offensive line, and they're playing really well. And their defense on third downs is phenomenal. They're limiting teams to just a 29.6% conversion rate. Now, on the opposite side of this, Miami obviously is great at converting third downs. So this is going to be a really cool matchup to watch. Outside of dealing with injuries, another scary thing for them going into this is how personal this game could be for Mario Cristobal. Now, I understand that he's not on the field actually suiting up and playing, but Miami was made the laughingstock of college football last season after the whole knee debacle in the Georgia Tech game. So Mario Cristobal is absolutely going to be fired up this week. And, hopefully for us Canes fans, that translates over to on the field play with the players. In the past, Miami has typically struggled with the November games, but they've already won one of them so far. And with this high-powered offense led by Cam Ward, it truly feels like Miami can hang with any team in the country. There's no denying that there's a ton of pressure on Miami right now, being 9-0, all eyes on the Canes. Everybody's waiting for them to mess up. And you best believe that Miami is going to get Georgia Tech's best game of the season, no doubt. But let's take a quick look at the history between these two teams. Miami and Georgia Tech have faced off 28 times in total, with the series being tied up at 14 apiece. The most recent matchup, hey guys, let's go ahead and jump on over and take a look at the average stats so far this season for both squads. Coming into this game, Georgia Tech points per game 28, Miami a whopping 47. Again, as a Miami fan, 47 points per game is just out of this world. So freaking happy about that. Points allowed against them per game, Georgia Tech 22, Miami 23. Yards gained, 422 for the Yellow Jackets, 557 for Miami. And yards allowed against them, 323 for Georgia Tech and 311 for Miami. I will also give you 3 keys to a victory for each team. And let's kick it off with Miami. Coming in at number 1, try to keep Georgia Tech under 30 total points. Virginia Tech, Cal, and Louisville all scored over that amount, and it was a close game. And if we're being honest, Duke scored over that as well, just barely, and it was also close until the fourth, before Miami decided to run away with it. So if the defense can keep anyone under 30, let's just be real, it's probably not even going to be close. Number 2, try to not get lost with motion. Communicate and be ready for a lot of it. This falls on the players who have struggled to adjust in previous games, and Guidry to make sure that they are adequately prepared going in. This is viewed as a weakness for this Miami Hurricanes defense, so Georgia Tech is going to try their best to exploit that. And lastly, get more than just pressure on the quarterback. Let's see 4+ sacks in this one. Haynes King, as far as I know, has only been sacked once so far this season, and only 3 total sacks over the last 2 weeks with backup quarterbacks. That's great. So for Miami, do something no one else has done to Georgia Tech this season. Next up is 3 keys to a Yellow Jackets victory. And coming in at number 1, win the first half. Obviously, Miami is a second half team, so if you can't keep it close in the first 2 quarters, you're probably not going to hang in the final 2. It's just too much to overcome. Georgia Tech has been losing going into halftime in 15 of their last 20 games against conference opponents in Atlanta, however. So this is obviously something that will probably be difficult to do, but it's something that you're going to have to figure out. Number 2, keep Cam Ward off the field. I know that's easier said than done. If you can get the quick points, then you take them. But some lengthy drives that help you dominate the time of possession will be helpful. If Cam Ward gets the ball, points are probably going to be put on the board. And lastly, you could possibly tie this in a bit with number 2, but don't be afraid to go for it on 4th down. So far this season, Georgia Tech has not been afraid to, going forward on 5 times against Virginia Tech, Notre Dame, and Louisville. And you're going to have to see more of that in this game, kind of like how Florida State did with their approach. And just as an extra added bonus or 2 here, this one is super obvious, but Haynes King has to play, if at all possible, because the other 2 guys are just not going to have the juice. You're not going to be able to get it done. And maybe a special teams play like a touchdown to help you out a bit. And now it's score prediction time. But you know what I like to do? Let's put the pressure on my dog, Max. Let's get his pick first. All right, here we go. He has made his decision, and with 0 hesitation, Max goes with the Canes this week. Now, Max did take another loss last week as he predicted a Duke upset, so that puts him overall at 6-3, with me sitting at 9-0. I did hear, however, that he's planning a bit of a comeback, so we'll just have to see. I also like to take a look at the ESPN matchup predictor, which gives Miami a 77% chance to win and Georgia Tech 23. At the time of filming this video, we'll get a check-in over on FanDuel. They have Miami listed as a 10.5 point favorite, with the over-under coming in at 63.5 points. Now, to be completely honest, I'm actually a bit surprised that the spread here is not more for Miami at that 10.5. That would lead me to believe that Haynes King is probably playing, or they are just leaning on the fact that Miami does give up a lot of points, and 3 out of the last 5 conference games have been close, and the Duke game was actually close through most of it. But with that being said, part of me kind of feels like this is really going to upset Georgia Tech fans. But I don't know. I haven't really spoken with many of them yet. So I don't really know what the vibe is from them going into this game. Obviously, they had super high hopes after, the first game of the season in Ireland against Florida State. I know it's an old story, but then Florida State doesn't really pan out, so that win didn't carry a lot of weight. And then, they lost some games that they, maybe shouldn't have lost. And then they have some injuries, and us Miami fans were very familiar with that. What I'm getting at here is I'm stalling for no reason. Let's get the numbers. I'm going to give the Miami Hurricanes 42. I'm very high on the Canes going into this one. And I'm going to give the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets 21. So, see, in a way, maybe you can see why I'm a little bit torn here on how Georgia Tech fans might feel. Not that I'm going to base a prediction off of how an opposing team's fan base might feel, because that doesn't matter. I'm going to give whatever score I think is actually going to happen. I've got this as a pretty high-scoring game, though. If Haynes King does play, I think that they can put up some points. Obviously, I'm just being real. If this was Pyron or the freshman, I'm going more into the 14 to 17 point range, 13 to 17, somewhere around in there. But I think they can grab, 3 touchdowns or so, maybe a field goal in there somewhere. But I'm going to say 21. But really, how long, even if Haynes King does play, how long can his shoulder hold up? Because we know if you want to go toe-to-toe with Miami, if they're unsuccessful on the ground, and, still got to figure out what's going on with Jamal Haynes, if they can't control the time of possession, they're going to have to go toe-to-toe, kind of like how Louisville did. I don't know if Haynes King can come out there and actually do that, but he still gives them their best chance to win the game, so that they need him to play. I know, again, Miami only favored by 10.5. This is obviously a 21-point win, which is, double. That's pretty big against an ACC opponent. But I really do believe in Cam Ward and his ability to really turn up in the fourth quarter. I think once he has really figured out your defense, and, you've got halftime adjustments and things, so then you kind of got to readjust again. He just looks so buttery smooth and poised back there in the fourth quarter of games. And I really think that they can run it up on Georgia Tech a little bit. And maybe you want to put a little bit of weight into the whole, Mario Cristobal thing with the knee stuff last year. And I think it very well could play a part. And what I mean by that is foot on the gas. I don't know. I'm kind of torn. Is it a bittersweet moment where Miami has a lead and they take a knee to finish off the game? Or are you more in the camp that says, you know what? How about Miami is up by 3 or 4 touchdowns with, I don't know, 1 minute left to go in the game, and Miami does what? Miami hands off the ball and pounds the rock and chooses to not take a knee. Maybe that sounds a little selfish, a tad greedy, but I don't know. I don't know. Either way, I just want Miami to win. I say all the time, by 1 or 100, style points would be nice. But it is what it is. There's not a lot of undefeated teams left, so let's hope Miami can keep it that way. Let's chop it up down in the comment section below. Don't be shy. Last week's preview video had the least amount of interaction this season, and we're talking about a Miami team that is undefeated. So honestly, I'm pretty disappointed, just straight up. I am. So let's chop it up. Put something down there. A score prediction. A go Canes. Orange and green hearts. I don't know. Put something down there. And that'll be a way I know that people made it to the end of the video if the comment section is just on fire. And I'll try to respond to as many as possible, and we'll just party it up and have a good time down there. Remember, though, guys, we're all one big happy college football family, but at the end of the day, I got to say, it's always better when you get to rep the U. Coach Coop, peace out. I'll see y'all in the next one.
Well, shit.